Hope is that you had yourself a productive Tuesday. Now here's a sneak peek at our edition tonight. The government of Rwanda has outlined the key provisions of the revised tax policy, emphasizing that these adjustments are designed to support the implementation of the second national strategy for transformation. Rwanda has ranked 43rd out of 180 countries in the 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index by Transparency International, an anti-corruption watchdog. On the international scale, Kenya recently announced that it will be sending up to 1 million workers abroad annually as it seeks to address a lack of high skill and advanced degree jobs in the country. We're glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. And my name is Martina Abera. I'll be bringing you the English News Bulletin tonight. Let us start off by informing you that the government of Rwanda has outlined the key provisions of the revised tax policy, emphasizing that these adjustments are designed to support the implementation of the second national strategy for transformation. We have more of this report coming from Adam Squizera.
In a press conference that was reiterating on the Rwanda's cabinet resolutions that approved legal instruments implementing medium-term domestic resource mobilization measures, including taxes and levies to strengthen financing for the second phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, NST2. According to these reforms, excise duty on cigarettes will go up from the current 130 Rwandan francs to 230 Rwandan francs per pack, plus 36% of retail price, while beer excise duty is expected to rise from 60% to 65% of factory price. Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, elaborated the reason of this revised tax policy.
The main purpose of doing this is to allow the country to move from one development stage to the next development stage. At each development stage, there is, I would say, some prerequisites, some requirements to finance development. From the slide that we put there, for low list developing countries, it's normally expected that that at least 16% tax to GDP ratio. You see that in Rwanda we are at around 14.6%. We are not even at the standard. We are not even at the average standard of least developed countries. Yet we want to be an upper middle income country by 2035, and at that level will be required to have around 23% tax to GDP ratio, and upper mid high income countries by 2050 of around 38% tax to GDP ratio. So we are progressively putting in place tax measures to support us in NST2, but also to lay the foundation for other phases of development.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning also explained about an increase in the registration fees of all vehicles, including electric vehicles.
We have three reasons. The first reason is we want to encourage a transition. We want to encourage a transition that moves from hybrid to pure electric because of two things. First of all, pure electric will be very cost effective going forward. For almost everyone, but also for environmental reasons. So it will be very cost effective for everyone. It will also be for environmental reasons. Two, the technologies are maturing. The technologies for electric vehicles are maturing, and we are seeing the prices going down. So we want to encourage people to go even faster to electric vehicles, but at the moment hybrid vehicles are more expensive in terms of taxes than pure fuel vehicles. So we have pure fuel expensive, hybrid a little bit affordable in terms of taxes, then electric very affordable in terms of taxes. So we want a transition that comes from fuel to hybrid to electric.
The Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning also announced changes in taxation, including an increase in excise duty on airtime from 10% to 12% in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, with a gradual rise to 15% in the medium term. Additionally, a new 3% levy on accommodations costs will be introduced to support investments in the tourism and hospitality sector. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adam Squizera, for that report. Now heading over to the arts industry, joining us here live in the studio is none other than Christiane Bukuru, who goes by Bukuru as her stage name. She is here to shed light on the growth of her music journey in the industry and her latest nomination for the Prix Découverte Award. You're most welcome, Bukuru.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm privileged to be here.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. First of all, congratulations on being nominated as a finalist, top 10 finalist for the Prix Découverte Award. How does it feel to receive this recognition on such a prestigious platform?
First of all, it's amazingly and unbelievably amazing for me. It's a thrill, but it's also the pride. Because I'm carrying a whole flag of our country and I'm putting it to the spotlight of the global industry, music industry, so it's crazy.
Yes, so your music has been gaining a lot of attention and traction both in Rwanda and beyond. How would you describe your sound and the message you aim to convey through your art?
So when I think of Bukuru as a brand or as a singer, I think of an amazing vocal ability that is exerting a lot of power and authority, and I aim to use it in a way, in communicating communal issues or even issues that are dear to my heart in a rather relatable way, creative way, and not a misleading way, positive way.
Yes, so the Prix Découverte Award is something that is not new to us as Rwandans, because we had the honor of having the late Ivan Buravan take on the prize, and various others have been nominated, like Mike Kahura and the rest. What do you think this nomination means for your career and Rwandan music on the international stage? Maybe you can explain what exactly the award is all about.
So the Prix Découverte RFI, it's a prize. It's more of like a platform given to an upcoming artist in French-speaking African countries. And for me, it's like being put on a pedestal or like spotlight and being asked, what do you want? And you just have to decide what's going to happen next. And it's a crazy opportunity, because if there's something that artists struggle with is recognition. So this kind of facilitates being seen by the whole world, and then your community finds you. So if I am there, being only in the 10 top finalists, it's amazingly relieving, because there's a job I should have been doing that I won't be able to do. Yeah.
Indeed, the Prix Découverte highlights emerging talent in Africa. And could you please share with us your journey that led to this moment? Like you said, it's such a prestigious opportunity as well as moment to be able to be in this category. What have been some of the biggest challenges as well as milestones in your musical career so far?
So I've always been this competitive person, and I want to be, my ultimate dream would be to be one of the most inspiring faces of the Rwanda music, and anything that would lead me to that space, I'm going to so forth towards acting in that space, and so I was like, I was given an opportunity and I took the opportunity, because it's an open competition and you have to apply. So I applied and I was selected just among other African creatives who applied. And yes, here we are. And challenges are there. Challenges, there are many. We could talk about for days. We could talk about them for days. But then I'd rather focus on the positive things that keep me going in my artistic journey. And here we are. I'm excited for the next steps of my career.
Yes. Speaking of your milestones, could you please shed more light on that? What are some of the highlights of your career thus far that you feel like, well, I'm living the dream?
Well, I've been given amazing stages, like performing on the biggest festival in Nigeria, Flytime Fest, in 2023. I've been given the opportunity to perform for Kibuka 30. I've been given an opportunity to perform for FIA Awards, a global platform. I'm pretty sure there are people who followed me for just seeing a picture on their Instagram, and for me, it was unbelievable. Even to myself, to this date, I still pinch myself and be like, how did I come to this stage of my life? It's a privilege. I wouldn't actually measure it because I never imagined to be there. So I'm grateful, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, looking ahead, what are your plans after this nomination? Are there any new projects that are in the making, perhaps collaborations, or even performances that your fans should look forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to being an international artist, and just being part of this Prix Découverte RFI is already a step towards that. And I'm looking forward to collaborate with local creatives that are here, the local talents that are already in place. And I just cannot wait to see what my future holds, especially 2025. It's going to be just amazing after amazing. I'm also performing in Sautiza Busara Festival, a Pan-African one of the Pan-African biggest festivals. Yeah. So
yes,
it's already looking good.
100%. The sky is only the limit for you. Maybe as we come to the end of this interview, how does one become the winner of the Prix Découverte Award? How can the people of Rwanda, or even beyond, show your support to you, just in case they want to show their token of appreciation to your music, or even get you to that award as a Rwandan?
So Prix Découverte is a global platform, as I've already communicated. So the only way to actually support would be voting through the links that has been put in place for us, for the people, for the fans to support their artists. So there is a platform, Prix Découverte RFI, on the internet, and you just have to click on your favorite artists, in this case me, and then hit send, and then that's and you can do it as many times as you can until the 16th of Feb, which is Sunday this week. And then after then the jury will meet, and then they will decide who is the best, because it doesn't only depend on the votes, but it's the only way fans can actually support their favorite artists.
Thank you very much. And as we close off, for someone who hasn't heard your voice and is looking for that extra push to be able to click that button and vote for their favorite artist, maybe in a few seconds you can give a sample of what the people should be looking forward to, or even voting for, as they're out there trying to bring the award home, maybe as a country of Rwanda.
One of my
your
favorite compositions would be Imana Yarabjitonde Irelmuzima Nishimira.
Thank you very much for taking your time to talk to us. Congratulations once again for the nomination, and we wish you luck in terms of collecting the award, as well as your future musical endeavors.
Thank you.
Yes, so we were joined by Christiane Bukuru, who goes by Bukuru, as she was talking more on her journey in the music industry, as well as her latest nomination for the Prix Découverte Award. Now, heading over to the next story, imposters and retailers of technological equipment, including phones and computers, say that the tax exemption period allowed them to strengthen their financial capacity, so introducing a tax will not significantly affect them. We have more of this report straight from you.
Across the country, the trade of technological and telecommunication equipment is thriving. This sector has provided employment to many and contributed to the national economy. Eric Gishoma and Theodore Nzaramba are entrepreneurs who import these devices and compete for large contracts. They appreciate the tax exemption period they benefited from, but hope for a phased approach to tax implementation.
There
are large stocked products that we did not pay for the VAT, and we should also sell it in exemption of VAT. It requires to discuss with the Revenue Authority, as there are also some contracts that are active and inconsiderate of the VAT, and they have to remain active.
If
there is no business and the VAT is on electronic gadgets, the end users will be affected. These products are highly affected by the US dollar rise, and if the VAT is also added, the prices will also increase. The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda reported that the revenues generated from the ICT and telecommunications sector grew by 35% in 2023 compared to the previous year. This output increased from 201 billion Rwanda francs in 2022 to 253 billion Rwanda francs the following year. Technology expert Jean-Claude Tuyisenge affirms that it is time for the government's investment in ICT and telecommunication infrastructure to start yielding results.
We cannot be against the taxes, because the development we are seeing here in Rwanda, the roads, all other infrastructures are coming because of those taxes. So we have to understand that at a certain period, that facilitation, that facility should not continue to be there. But our request as beneficiaries is to go gradually, to see how not really increasing very much, but gradually, slowly increasing, so that the step which were made by this goodwill, we don't want to go back to cancel the steps we made.
The CEO of the Rwanda ICT Chamber, Alex Nare, stated that the sector has now strengthened to the point where taxation will not hinder its progress, especially since dialogue opportunities are available.
The policy document that is out clearly clarifies that although VAT, value-added tax, has been reintroduced on some of the equipment, there's also been left a space for consultations with the Ministry of ICT and Innovation and several other government agencies to see where exemptions may still be needed, and that's where we see an opportunity for the private sector to continue those engagements with the ministry and with the government agencies to make sure that we are aligned on key ICT equipment that actually still need to be exempted for us to be able to lift up either that specific line or cluster.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, has announced that at the business level there will be initiatives to implement the tax adjustment plan. There is a request of the private sector, which is the tax planning. They want to focus and know when the government plans on imposing a certain tax. So these taxes will not all be implemented to prevent the burden. So there's also planning on how to coordinate with the private sector for them to plan ahead. Out of the total 4,806 billion Rwanda francs revenue generated in the third quarter of 2024, the ICT and telecommunications sector grew by 19%. This growth trend started during the COVID-19 pandemic, when in 2020 the sector's output increased by 29%. Prince Manzi, reporting for Radio.
Thank you, Prince Manzi, for that report. Rwanda has ranked 43rd out of 180 countries in the 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index by Transparency International, an anti-corruption watchdog. This marks an improvement of 6 positions and a 4 percentage point increase compared to the previous year's ranking. Key factors contributing to Rwanda's progress include robust public service delivery in areas such as quality education, gender equality, inclusivity across sectors, the rule of law, and poverty reduction. Institutions such as the Rwanda National Police, the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, and the Public Prosecution Service have made notable efforts in combating corruption within their respective domains. Ombudsman Madeleine Nirere attributed Rwanda's rise from 49th place in 2023 with a score of 53% to 43rd place in 2024 with a score of 57% to the country's strong governance frameworks and anti-corruption policies. Marie Immaculée Ingabire, chairperson of the Transparency International Rwanda, emphasized the need for heightened scrutiny and decisive action against institutions where corruption remains prevalent. The 2024 CPI report identifies Denmark as the least corrupt country globally with a score of 90%, followed by Finland at 88%. Conversely, South Sudan ranks last with a score of 8%, followed by Somalia at 9%. In Africa, Rwanda ranks third and maintains its position as the least corrupt country in East Africa, followed by Tanzania. At the regional level, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Burundi rank lowest with scores of 20% and 17% respectively. Senators gave their opinions on the report of the Committee on Economic Development and Finance regarding the draft law amending the revised state budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025, commending the way the government allocated funds across the country's development programs. Before approving the report, senators stated that the funds were well distributed, taking into account citizens' concerns and the ongoing changes in the international arena. The draft law amending revised state budget is currently under review by the responsible committee in the Chamber of Deputies. The Constitution of the Rwanda provides that senators give their opinions on the draft law, which will then be considered by the plenary session of the Chamber of Deputies before the final approval of the state budget or any related amendments. Members of the Parliamentary Committee on National Unity, Human Rights and the Prevention of Genocide have urged the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion to collaborate with judicial institutions to ensure that cases of sexual abuse against teenage girls are handled swiftly. This follows the 2023-2024 Human Rights Commission report, which indicates that 69% of teenage mothers do not receive justice. The members of the Parliamentary Committee first met with the Ministry of Local Government and some of its affiliated institutions, questioning the challenges that have led to 20% of individuals rehabilitated in correctional centers in Rwanda relapsing and returning multiple times, as highlighted in the 2023-2024 Human Rights Commission report. The Minister of Local Government, Dr. Patrice Mugenzi, stated that they are working on a lasting solution to permanently address this issue. The committee also met with the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion to discuss various issues, including sexual abuse against teenage girls. The 2023-2024 Human Rights Commission report reveals that 69% of the teenage mothers do not receive justice, and 78% of those who get pregnant while in school do not return to their studies after giving birth. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Uwimana Console, proposed a sustainable solution to eradicate this issue completely. Statistics from the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion indicate that in 2024 alone, 22,454 teenage girls were victims of sexual abuse, resulting in pregnancies. Members of the Parliamentary Committee on National Unity, Human Rights and the Prevention of Genocide also urged the Ministry of Local Government to implement measures to facilitate individuals with disabilities in obtaining national identification cards by allowing them to be photographed at home. Additionally, they requested that all healthcare facilities have medical personnel proficient in sign language to assist patients with disabilities in receiving medical services without barriers. Moving over to the next story, young women studying science in secondary schools and universities have called on the Rwandan government and educational institutions to collaborate in order to strengthen their studies. They made this appeal during the celebration of the 10th International Day of Women in Science. And our Gladys with more.
While celebrating the International Day of Women in Science, students from secondary schools showcased some of their activities related to science, but also requested collaboration to ensure they can continue their work.
Personally, I would love to continue in the STEM career, STEM fields, so that I solve problems that are locally found in my community, in my country, and help Rwanda raise to the top in Africa or even around the world. And I am sure that my fellow students in different schools will share the same patriotic view and drive to help our country with the base of science to reach a greater stage. My suggestion to our communities and the government regarding STEM careers is that they may empower these young girls, especially those ones that do not have enough exposure, enough access to role models, mentorship.
I like to live in a world where there'll not be like women in STEM, they just be people in STEM. Because the only difference between me and the other person is just our anatomy. Does not mean that this for example, this engineering or this math is really hard. No, there's nothing like it's a boy, it's a girl thing. But if you provide such spaces, then it's easier for actually young girls to get into STEM and to stay in STEM.
Dr. Chirinyana Mary Chantal, who represents the Rwandan Association of Women in STEM organization, assured these students of the collaboration they need.
Our role today as Rawis is to go there, to visit them, to share with them our experience, and also to show them or to shape the path with them. Because let's say I am a physicist, but I didn't land here by chance. There are things that I have sacrificed so that I can be who I am today. So by sharing our successful stories with them, I think they are going to change their mind. They are going to know that, especially those one with disability that we saw, as we were always saying, that disability is not really something that can hinder you to do whatever you want to do.
The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Environment, Chiza Beatrice, urged these girls not to lose hope in pursuing subjects that many consider difficult.
Study hard. Excel in science so that the younger girls who are below you can also know that it's possible, because we cannot stand saying that working hard, studying science is possible for girl when you are failing. So you have to make sure that you are not failing, you are showing others that it's eventually possible to do the science. Overcome that. Embrace the fact that you can ask any question. By asking question, you get the knowledge. And another one is that knowledge is freedom. You have the freedom to speak when you have knowledge. You have the freedom to be innovative when you have knowledge. So let them really acquire the knowledge and use it. My last message would be, the end of going in STEM is not excelling and sitting in STEM, but the end is what are you going to use the knowledge you are having. So the end is excel in school, get the knowledge, but eventually use that knowledge, be innovative, use that knowledge to solve the problem for the country, for your community, and for yourself, and use that knowledge to the service.
Statistics provided by the Ministry of Education for the 2021-2022 academic year show that 36.4% of students in universities studying science are girls, while boys account for the 63.6%.
Moving over to the health sector, some patients and caregivers receiving treatment at the University Teaching Hospital of Kigali CHUK say that being provided with medical care and meals greatly eases their burden, especially for those facing financial difficulties. On Tuesday, they celebrated the World Day of the Sick. The Day of the Sick is observed annually on the 11th of February. It was established in 1992 by St. Pope John Paul II to emphasize care for the sick with the goal of showing them love and support to strengthen their hope for recovery. The University Teaching Hospital of Kigali is the largest hospital located in Nyarugenge district. It is also the biggest referral hospital of the country with a capacity of 483 beds. CHUK provides quality healthcare to the population, training, clinical research and technical support to district hospitals.
Alo, wa mustashiri wanjye.
Utekereza ko guhora wizigamiye n'umushu aribyo birenze? Natwe niko tubibona. Ubona nta cyakurutira kugaragaza impano yawe. Niko bimeze.
So guys, uyu munsi tugiye kuganira ku gaseke. Agaseke njye gafite byinshi. Kamari, ese wowe kakumara iki?
Manudi. Halo Manudi, niba iki uri kunkura mu kazi?
Hero mabusha, byahiye kandi noneho bimeze neza cyane. Umva ukuntu biri no guhumura.
Ako Manudi, urumva nakumva ko ibiryo bihumura koko?
Ubona nta cyakurutira umwuga wawe. Erega, natwe niko tubibona. Dushyigikiye buri kimwe agaciro mu buzima bwawe na irekure nshya. Buri wese arahishiwe. Wikwisondeka. Kanda akanyenyeri 140 urwego. Uhitemo agaseke kawe ka packs zo guhamagara. Cyangwa akanyenyeri 345 urwego. Uhitemo bando za internet. Uryoherwe n'umuvuduko wa 4G.
Welcome back and thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. To other matters elsewhere, Kenya recently announced that it will be sending up to 1 million workers abroad annually as it seeks to address a lack of high skill and advanced degree jobs in the country. Germany has become one of the main recipients of those workers, which signed an agreement with the East African country to relax immigration requirements, although a February 23rd snap election may change that due to anti-immigration sentiments. VOA spoke to a professor of history and international relations at the United States International University in Nairobi for more on how immigration trends will affect Kenya's future.
No, they do not outweigh the risks. In fact, the risks are very many. And in this period of uncertainty, it's questions whether it is worth it. Yes, there may be a few benefits to a few people, but the overall picture is an indictment for the country in its inability to generate a conducive economic environment for job creation at home.
So you talk about now the impact of generating income for people, because they are looking at, we're going to go to different countries and so we'll get jobs there, but not everybody can do that. But if this trend continues, Professor, what would be the possible long-term implications for the continent of Africa?
Well, it's one of desperation and not very encouraging future, because it will continue high dependency on things that should actually be used at home, create an environment for jobs, people depending on themselves, as opposed to being dependent on handouts and kind of goodwill, when actually it should be a mutual understanding and fair benefits. The desperation makes Africa as a continent look desperate when it should not be the case.
So does the government, in this case, the government of Kenya, bear any responsibility for the safety of these Kenyans looking for this, leaving the country for these jobs elsewhere?
Yes, Kenya as a government bears a lot of responsibility for the well-being of those people, especially since the government seems to be encouraging this kind of thing. Therefore, it has an obligation to look after their welfare. it has a major responsibility for that matter.
And do you know if there is even a little bit of sort of some information to prepare these Kenyans leaving the country to go abroad in terms of what to expect? First of all, there will be language barriers there. It's not going to be very smooth sailing.
Well, the preparation is not very high, as far as we know. There is talk about warning them and some agents being responsible for this or that. But generally, the preparation for them is very clear as to what they are going to be doing and where and who is responsible when things go wrong. It could be better than what is going on. The impression created is that the country, the government, and the state itself is desperate, almost to export its problems somewhere else. The long-term effects may not be very favorable to the country as a whole.
And that marks the end of our bulletin. Before we close off, let's have a reminder of our headlines tonight. The government of Rwanda has outlined the key provisions of the revised tax policy, emphasizing that these adjustments are designed to support the implementation of the NST2. Rwanda has ranked 43rd out of 180 countries in the 2024 Corruption Perception Index by Transparency International. On the international scale, Kenya recently announced that it will be sending up to 1 million workers abroad annually as it seeks to address a lack of high skill and advanced degree jobs in the country. And on that note, we've come to the end of our English News Bulletin. On behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. I who brought you the news is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a good night.